Ann Butler is a mixed media artist, designer, and instructor for the creative industries. She works with a variety of mediums and enjoys sharing her creativity through teaching. Today, Ann will be demoing how to make a mixed media collage with Makin's air-dry polymer clay. And I'm very excited because one of the first new Get Acquainted kits that we posted on the marketplace at Cool2Craft features the materials for this project. So I'm delighted to welcome Ann Butler. Hi, Ann.
Hey everyone, glad to be here today. Today we are going to work on a mixed media project. This is framed and it is on a mat board. It is 5 by 7 inches. This right here is Makin's no-bake polymer clay, and we are just going to go through the steps on how to make this. I'm going to put my webcam down so you can see my work surface. Move that placard. And what I did on this one is right here, I actually made a domino from some of the natural no-bake clay. And to do that, it's very simple, the process of making your own dominoes, and you can use real dominoes also. But I just take a nice chunk of the clay and the roller, and I roll it out. And it depends how thick you want it, because dominoes come in all shapes and sizes, or not shapes, but all different thicknesses. I like to have it about 1/8 of an inch thick, and it comes out of the package very soft and it's easy to roll out. So I just take a rectangular cutter and push it into the clay to make my domino shape. Now these, because it's a thicker clay, it's going to take about 24 to 48 hours to dry. So I would cut these out. I would cut an entire package. And depending upon how thick you have your clay, you can get 30 to 40 from just one package of clay. And remember, when you're not working with your clay, to keep it in a plastic bag, maybe with a baby wipe, to keep it from drying out. So I have some here that I made a couple days ago, and they're dry. So you set that aside, and then you take your black clay and you roll that out also. And this you're going to want thinner, and it depends upon how much you want on your project. You can make just a small piece, or you can cover most of your mat board with it. It's depending upon the look you want to go with. And the reason why the clay is going onto my roller, it usually doesn't do that, but I had a baby wipe wrapped around it while I was waiting to come into the speaker's queue, and so the clay is a little damper than it would normally be, but that will wipe right off of the roller without a problem. So you take and you make it the thickness you want it. And Makin's makes these pressing sheets, and I like to use this is from Scrap Perfect. It is a perfect printing pouch, but it has a powder in it that you can put right on to here and press onto your clay, and then it won't stick. It gives it a nice release. So you would just take and roll it. You can also use rubber stamps or mats to do this also, because they make nice impressions in the clay. And you just pull this off, and you have your impression. I think you can see it if I come up close. And what I like to do is I like to tear the clay to give it its shape. And I just tear until I have a shape that I think I'm going to like. And then I just kind of take my mat board, the size it's going to be, and place it so I know how much room I have and if I want to tear some more or do anything. And you can have it going anywhere. It's a collage. You can do anything you want on it. I do have one here that is dry. You can continue working with it when it's wet. That's not a problem. But I knew that this one would be the shape that I wanted. And what I do to give it some color is I use Earthsafe Finishes shimmers. And they're transparent, the ones I'm using. And I just use my finger. You can use a brush if you want. But it just makes that impression from your texture sheet pop. So I would do that on the whole thing. And I do have one here that's done. So I just do that on the whole thing. And then you get a variety of choices to use on your mat. I like to take mulberry paper and tear it. So I did that to this one already. And what you want to do is take your pieces and determine your arrangement. I like to use the magic mesh because it sticks right down on there, and you can have a temporary fix and see what you're going to, where you want to place it. You can always lift it up. You can put ribbons on here. Once your dominoes are dry, you can take and use StazOn and just stamp an image right onto your domino, and it won't leave an impression once your domino is dry. So I did that already with this one. It's just an impression of a face, and you see and get a pleasing idea of where you want to arrange things and glue it all down. And when I'm gluing the domino, I use a generous amount of glue and I push it down so that it oozes all out. And then I use some micro beads to add onto there just to give it another little texture. And here's another example of one I did. It's in a shadow box. So on this one you can see I used a real domino, and I used some fibers up here. So you can get a lot of different looks depending upon what you are going for. Just play with it and see what you come up with. I also have one right here where I used vintage paper on there and a button, and then you just pop it into a frame.